But let's move into 11 through 20. We're going to start off with Ricky. You're going to take us through picks 11 through 20. I don't know why I keep saying 11 through 20. Take us through 11 through 20.
Well,
Ricky,
starting off, number 11, the New Orleans Pelicans are going to go with Keldon Johnson, the guard forward from the Kentucky Wildcats. Then at number 12, the Utah Jazz are going to go with now injured. He should be coming back soon, but as of right now, injured Lewis King, the forward from the Oregon Ducks. 13, the T-Wolves going Quentin Grimes, guard from Kansas. The Hawks via the Mavs had them going with Cam Reddish earlier. They're going to go with Charles Bassey, the center from the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers at 14. 15, Darius Garland, the guard from Vanderbilt, going to the Orlando Magic. Brandon Clark, one of my favorite players right now from that Gonzaga team. The forward, he'll go to the Hornets at 16. Jarrett Culver, the guard from Texas Tech, going to the Celtics via the King pick at 17. Rui Hachimura, the forward from Gonzaga. It's Rui Hachimura. I said that wrong. Hachimura, though, forward from Gonzaga, going to the Blazers at 18. Then the Pistons taking Dietrich Lawson, forward from Kansas. And then my boy Trey Jones from Duke, the fourth Dookie, going off the board. He will be a Boston Celtic at the end of the night.
Dave, take us through 1 through 20.
My 1 through 20. Wow, we're going all the way back to the Southwest.
11 through 20.
All right, my 11 pick. The Pelicans are going Keldon Johnson. At 12, I've got the Jazz taking Rui Hachimura from Gonzaga.
Hachimura.
It's Hachimura.
No, let's just stick with Hachimura because we're gonna fuck up his first name
every single time. That's the name for this year, by the way. Like, you know where we got called out last year? Every single time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. 13, I got T-Wolves taking Romeo. 14, I've got the Hawks going Jonte Porter out of Mizzou. At 15, I got the Magic taking Kevin Porter Jr. Quite the fall from you guys. At 16, I've got the Hornets taking Daniel Gafford. 17, the Celtics taking Quentin Grimes. 18, the Blazers taking Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 19, the Pistons going Kobe White. And 20, the Celtics taking Jarrett Culver.
Let's go 11 through 20 for me. Pelicans taking Kevin Porter Jr. At 12, the Jazz going Naz Reid from LSU. At 13, we have the T-Wolves going Daniel Gafford out of Arkansas. At 14, we have the Hawks via the Mavs going Lugens Dort from Arizona State. Did I say that right, Dave? Lugens?
Yeah, sure, close enough.
Lugens.
That's also going to be the name. We're going to get murdered on.
Lugens Dort. Out of Arizona State. At 15, we have Jarrett Culver out of Texas Tech. At 16, from the Hornets taking Rui Hachimura from Gonzaga. At 17, we have the Celtics taking Trey Jones. At 18, we have the Blazers going Keldon Johnson. At 19, we have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the cousin to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out of Virginia Tech, going to the Pistons. And at 20, we have the Celtics taking Darius Bazley out of the G League, but now he's not even in the G League because on August 28th he said, I'm not going to the G League, I'm doing private sessions. So similar to Mitch Robb is what he's doing. But he is an intern now with New Balance for $1 million. So we do this differently from 1 through 10. We're not going through every single pick. I do want to start off with some notes, some highlights. First one, I have Keldon Johnson at 18 at the Blazers. You guys have him immediately going to the Pelicans at 11. Take me through that decision, not only to put Keldon to the Pelicans, but also why Keldon that high? Because I don't think he's that high of a pick in my mind.
Wang scoring. Like that's
it?
Honestly, it's not much of a thought process because it's exactly what they're missing right now. Like Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis, and their weird, like, it's not just Anthony Davis. It's your boy in Randall. It's my boy in Nico. Like, they've got that weird, like, three-headed monster down low, and they've got Drew Holiday, you know, who's out there two-way all-star guard. They need some wing help, and, like, they've had three-point shooting, obviously, from... And I forgot his name.
Solomon Hill.
No, it's 3-1.
Yeah, I'm just listening.
Solomon Hill is just... No, he's trash. He's hot trash.
Players.
And I hate him, and I disrespect him all the time. So that's why I'm going with Keldon Johnson.
All right.
This is what we're here. This is what people are here for. It's hot
disrespecting him though.
Mine's the same thing.
I'm saying I'm going to replace him with a rookie. So yeah.
All right.
I mean, I look at it and I go, like Dave said, Drew Holiday, the three-headed monster at the 4, Ja at the 5, and like I look at the 2 and the 3, and it's like a bunch of people.
Ja at the 5? Is that?
Well, no, I'm just looking at Spot Rack and how they have them.
Okay, because I was real concerned there.
And I look at what they have at the 2 and the 3, and at the time, like looking at my big board, the next one off would have been Keldon Johnson, and I honestly had a debate in my head between Johnson, King, and Grimes. King to me, it was the question of he's been injured, so yeah, we got to go to the high school tape. I don't know what exactly this Oregon team is going to look like. Hopefully they look better with King out there. Quentin Grimes has not been what we all expected him to be with Kansas right now. So that's why I kind of had them listed how they are, is where the Pelicans will go with Johnson over the two because one's injured, and Quentin Grimes he would have been this pick, but he hasn't been the top 5 player I thought he was going to be before the season started.
Well, and Ricky, you had Kevin Porter gone. Dave, you didn't have him gone, but we're talking about wing scoring, and I think that at least at the 2 spot, he can be that. And I know obviously some people are worried about Drew's fit as well because he played much better at the 2. So maybe you do look for a point guard, but at my point right now, I don't think you have a point guard that's worth taking. So maybe you do go with Darius Garland if he has more of a fall, and you can push Drew back to the 2. But Kevin Porter, I do think, has that potential to be that wing scorer, that second scorer next to Anthony Davis, if Anthony Davis is sticking around. That's a big question as well, too. So Kevin Porter does have a lot of potential, so I think he does fit both ways because, again, he doesn't need to be a starter right away, because you do have each one. You have Drew Holiday, every person that we've mentioned before, Nicola, AD, Julius. But if he does go, then that's going to open up more spots for Kevin Porter to get more playing time, and you could see if he has that potential to grow right away. He's an interesting player in my mind, and I think he does have star potential if you do need to replace a star in Anthony Davis. And also, there's talks if Anthony Davis does move, is New Orleans basketball? No, if Anthony Davis has moved, is New Orleans basketball even relevant? Is it going to be possible? And with the NHL going to Seattle, maybe that's the one team that does go back to the homeland of the Supersonics. So I think Kevin Porter is a guy that I like him better than Keldon Johnson. And obviously, Ricky, you had him off the board. Dave, you didn't go with him. But
I like Keldon Johnson's ability to stretch out, play the wing better than Porter. I think Porter needs the ball in his hands more. Which is why I think that's unrealistic in that Pelican system.
Drew is better off with the ball.
Right, but you end up with basically 2 2s then, in my mind. So that's why I was like, I'm going to get the guy who can be a wing, who is comfortable with the ball in his hands, out of his hands. It doesn't matter to Keldon Johnson. He's a solid scorer.
I just don't like him.
That's fair.
He can't shoot.
It's the shooting percentage
it's the
scary
shooting, free throw. He goes to the line a ton. He does get hacked a lot. He drives a ton.
He's aggressive, which is what they need out there. He's a nice balance because you have right now, Etuan Moore obviously is a skilled 3-point shooter. So having someone who can slash to the lane and create contact and get to the line, because right now, Anthony Davis gets contact all day, all night. That's his jam. Randall, same thing. Nico, stretch the floor. So they've got their balance. And that's why I think Keldon Johnson would provide a nice balance and someone who can absolutely continue that offense production.
That's why I'm if John Morant falls to them.
Oh my God, yes.
Fuck.
I would, that seems scary. I would kick over whoever's in front of me and slap that name down on the table.
Yeah, obviously it's not going to happen. But that's one guy when we're discussing it.
Well, yeah, I mean they've got Alfred Payton right now, and
who's injured. But
that's the thing is we all knew what Alfred Payton was when he came over, but he cut his hair, so he's reverse Samson, and he has superpowers now, right, guys? That's how that works.
Yeah, exactly how it works, Dave. But going away from Keldon Johnson, you guys having him that high, there is some players that are making their return back into our talks, and one of those guys is Daniel Gafford, a guy who was in this same range in this lottery last year, pulled his name out, and now he's back in. I have him at 13 to the T-Wolves. You, Ricky, have him at
the next segment.
Oh, you have him in the next segment at 21. I read Darius Garland as Daniel Gafford, but still, we'll talk about him here.
You got him going 17
and then
you
had him going 17 to
16 to the Hornets.
16 to the Hornets. So what do you think about Daniel Gafford? Was it the right move to come out? Was the right move to pick your name out of the draft? And what do you think of him now in his sophomore year at Arkansas?
I feel like he would have been high. Me right now, I feel like last year I had him mocked and ranked higher than I do this year. And some of the reason for that is that the draft classes are vastly different. The thing that does help him in a way, in my point, and I know it's not center to center, but for me, the injury to Jonte Porter helps Daniel Gafford, because if Jonte is healthy, I would have Jonte drafted before Daniel Gafford. But because of that injury, we don't know how he's going to be coming off of it. If you're going to look for a big, unless you're looking for just a straight stretch 4 type of player, then you can go with Daniel Gafford more so.
They are much different players.
No, and I'm not saying they're exactly
5.
and that's the thing where I'm not saying like, oh, we need a 4, so we're going to go with Daniel Gafford. No, it's just the fact of if you're looking for a big in some sense and you're like, hey, we can develop one, not having a big out there or a 4 out there helps him, moves him up draft boards. I just, for me, don't know. The 5 is an interesting position right now because unless you're going to be a player like a DeMarcus Cousins, there are some centers in the league where it's like you are irrelevant in this 3-point area, and he does not shoot the 3 very well.
Well, you have Bassey above him. So why have Bassey above Gafford? You have him in the spot that I have him.
I like Bassey because for me it's just his play. He's a high motor guy to me. And
I see the same in Gafford. I think he's a high motor, athletic guy that's going to be a great rim protector. I think he's in some ways similar to Jared Allen coming out of Texas.
And the reason why I do have Bassey up there too is another thing of like the team that's drafting him. First off, I like Bassey better than Gafford, but also the Hawks, you look at their team. Yeah, they got John Collins down low, who's their leading scorer, but you look at this. I had them go at Cam Reddish. They got Trae Young. Why not try to add that big piece, that big center down low, have maybe develop Bassey for the 5, Collins at the 4, then you have Cam Reddish at the 3, Trae Young at your 1, and you're starting to build this remnants of what could be a starting 5 for the Hawks.
Well, that's why now I go to my 2, at least to my Hawks, and I look Trae Young at the 1, 3, Cam Reddish because we had the same pick, 4, go with Amari Spellman because I think that's the guy that you're looking at in the future. 5, got John Collins. At the 2, that spot's open. We go to Dort, a guy who can be a combo guard. He can shoot from the outside. Very similar to like a Marcus Smart. I've seen comparisons. You've threw out some comparisons as well. I think he's a perfect 2 guard that can play high defense as well. So I think that's a guy who might not be the same as Cam Reddish when I was talking about when you were drafting him a little bit earlier. A guy who could be your Klay Thompson in that at least that Golden State mold. I think Dort isn't that type of shooter, but Cam Reddish could be that still, and Dort brings decent shooting from the outside and the ability to drive and penetrate as well and be great cutting and attacking the bucket. So I think that Dort's a better fit there because I think John Collins is very good, and I think he is a for sure 5 for them with his ability to score, with his ability to be long and lanky. The one thing that isn't on his side, though, is defense.
Right, and that's why I'm going the opposite route. Like I got RJ already. So I'm thrilled that I get Jonte Porter right here because he's a guy who a lot of people have off the radars because of his injury. And I'm going, really? Y'all forget he was so talented? He was going to be fantastic. He's the better Porter at the moment.
But, but the thing that does...
about that.
I get to laugh about that because he's still coming back and the back injury is never going to go away.
But the thing that does concern me, I just want to throw this in there, is, and I have him later on, but... You look at and this is family history, like his sister's ones that have had knee injuries. One of his sister had multiple knee injuries, had to end her college career. Yep. I look at that and go, of course, medical and physicals are going to kind of look at this a little further. But
did they all have the same bad ligaments in their knees? Is it hereditary knee injuries?
I just love that Ricky's going Ancestry.com.
I think it's interesting.
Well, I don't think we can ask the what if question because I don't know if we're none of us are doctors. And none of us know anything about ligaments.
That's what I said, medicals and physicals, and of course, at the combine, they're going to be poked and prodded.
I'm just saying, I don't know if ligaments like that, like deficient ligaments can be hereditary.
There would be a little worry in my mind that
it's fair. Yeah.
Like you have this family with, and I know Michael's the only different because his was a back, not a knee, but all these family members with knee injuries, and some of them have re-injured their knee. I would then look at that and go, what's the chances that he will re-injure it also?
Yeah, I mean, a bad knee is a bad knee. I mean, and I think knee injuries are so common in basketball that isn't too crazy that you can be like family stuff. But the fact that he did injure his knee is enough for me to drop him because I have him.
I shrug it off because of his fit, because of his spacing on the floor with that team, allows John Collins to be dominant down low in the post and doesn't have a ton of company. So I think that is the optimal spacing. To walk away with RJ and Jonte out there,
defensively though, how do you think those two pair together? Because I don't think Jonte is going to be a defensive world beater out there.
Jonte wasn't bad on defense his first year at
But then
Mizzou.
you also we don't know what he's going to be like knee-wise as well. He might lose a little bit mobility and a little bit left to right. And also protecting the rim, I don't think it's going to be huge. What's up?
So here's their medical history at family. Oldest sister Bree, 5 torn ACLs, medically retired. Nice. Then Sierra, multiple knee surgeries, medically retired. Michael Porter Jr., 2 back surgeries, played 3 games, really 2 at Missouri. Jonte, torn MCL and ACL. and then it said family can't catch a break.
No, they cannot. But I mean, they might have 2 MBA, so it might be a little bit more of an easy breeze. But I look at Jonte, and I think the questions are going to come out more towards the combine because when can he actually step out on court and prove what he is? Because maybe he does have that ability to be a decent defender, and he can fit that 4 spot, and you just turn John Collins into a sole rim protector.
Even with him as a worse or a step slower, he's still more viable in the NBA than Daniel Gafford is in my mind.
Okay.
I think Gafford's going to go the same way as every other slow big center, and he's going to be.
I think he's not slow. Gafford is that guy's highly athletic.
Yeah.
That guy's. I think he's more of a quick rim runner than anything.
Okay.
Maybe not defensively. I don't think he's quick laterally, but when he has a full head of steam, I think he's pretty quick.
Okay.
It's not like he's Dirk out there. Like,
I'm saying kind of like how Greg Monroe gets used now and JV and the Raptors.
I think he's quicker than those guys.
I think he's in the same mold.
Okay.
That's my perspective so far.
I think he's more leaning towards the, let's say, JaVale. And at least like DeAndre, at least rim running, like at least not like more of back to
their
the
physical
basket guys.
size and their speed is pretty good. That's why I'm impressed by you making that comp because I think his motor's there. I just don't think his body is lean.
Oh, but he's gotten leaner.
I know he's gotten more efficient around the block, which is wonderful because his shooting percentage has gone up since he's come back.
I think he's less offensively. He's less bulky than the guys that you mentioned. Yeah. At least in JV and Greg Monroe. So I think that's why I think I lean to be a little bit more, and maybe even with NBA training, he gets a little more thinner and he gets a little bit quicker.
I'm just, like you said, the center position in the NBA is up in the air right now, and I look at it and I go, I would rather have excellent spacing than I would having a center who I'm not sure I can keep in the game because of now I've got multiple guys who are just stuck in the paint. Like him and John Collins, I'm concerned about that lack of spacing. So that's why I like the fit of going for someone like Jonte, who right now people see his reach because of injuries, but I go, his fit is impeccable.
Here's the thing with Jonte that I do want to throw out there, and this will play into effect when you see in the next segment what team I have him going to. A team that could take a stab on him is somebody who can, I don't want to use the word stash, but I'm going to use the word stash, where it's like, hey, we don't need a guy to step in and contribute right away. They can kind of do what is being done with his brother, where it's like, hey, we're going to draft you. Who cares? We might redshirt you the first year, and you might not play, and we can afford to do that so that you can come back year 2 and be strong.
I understand what you're saying, but also ACL, MCL, that's not much of a thing where you have a for sure timetable where it's like once that's healed, you can play. Like you're not going to be extra healed.
So that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
The only guy who we've ever seen that was Harry Giles, and that's because of his numerous knee injuries. And I was like, dude, you just got to take time to build up your body.
I think obviously his brother's a little bit different because that's a back, and then we saw Ben Simmons get redshirted, but that's because he broke his foot, and then they're like, well, we suck anyways. Let's get the first pick anyways. And then Joel had many injuries, so that's the one thing that was kind of a Harry Giles thing. I think Jonte, once he's healed and rehabbed,
he's good to go. Yeah.
I don't think I have that much of a worry of being redshirted. 2 guys that I do want to talk about, and then we'll open it up just so you guys can throw out one more prospect. They're the guys I highlighted green. We're going to start off at my pick, 12, Naz Reid, forward out of LSU. He was a guy that was mentioned a ton in your comments on your big board.
Yeah, because Brandon had him.
And none of you guys have Naz Reid anywhere else.
Don't like him that much.
What are your thoughts? Why don't you like him?
I haven't seen enough out of his entire game that I would put him in this range. I'm looking for someone who can contribute like year 1, and he's going to be someone who can play. And that's Naz Reid's a guy who I think needs more polish. He needs a lot more polish. He's a guy who I would be happy to see go back to LSU again. Okay. And obviously, if he gets the offer for first round, if he gets some guys with that nudge guarantee, we'll take you in the first week, absolutely take the money and run with it because I don't think that his skill set is NBA ready yet.
That's fine, but the thing that I thought of with the Jazz is I think his body's ready. 100% his body's ready. And you look at, so far, some of the metrics around him. He's gone to the line. He's been kind of successful, around 75% from the line. And that's some days where he's 3 of 5, 2 for 5, 2 of 2, 3 for 3, 4 for 4. From 3, he's not been horrible. I mean, he hasn't been lighting up the world. But again, he has days where he goes 4 of 6. He's not afraid to shoot it out there. And against worst competition, he has dominated. Against UNC Greensboro, 11 of 14, 4 of 6 from 3, 3 of 3, 7 boards, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 steal, and 29 points. He has those spurts where he's able to go off and kind of show off his athleticism, show off his size. And at 6'10", 240, he's got that size, he's got that ability. And when you think of his potential, in my mind, I think he is a stretch 4. I think he does have that. He doesn't have a horrible shot that's not broken. And when you look at the Jazz, they need scoring. And I think he could be a guy that could provide scoring, a guy that drives, gets to the paint, gets hacked, goes to the line, could be a guy that could be, used a little bit, in spot-up positions for 3. I think he's going to be a guy offensively that's going to shine. And then when you have a guy like Rudy Gobert there, I think he's going to be a guy that's the next progression of Derek Favors, but Derek Favors isn't able to stretch the floor. Naz Reid is. I think that's where it comes in, where I think the potential of him is too much to pass up. And if he makes the decision to go to college, good for him. That's his choice. But I think if he does get that nudge of, we're going to take you in the first round, I think then teams are like, all right, well, when we look at the guys on the board, there's no one that screams potential as much in my mind like Naz Reid does.
Yeah, for me, it's just right now I see him as a early second, but if I do see a first, it's like 26 through 30. It's like right there at the end where it's, if he's a first, it's going to be like the Warriors at 28, where it's like a lower team. But other than that, right now, I see him at the Robert Williams, he fell. Like, he was close to our lottery.
According to a lot of people, we correctly predicted he would not be taken.
No. At the end, like, we had him later on in our life. But, like, if you look at our mocks, like, we had Robert Williams, close to the lottery.
But he was also a sophomore. He was also a guy that, like Dave mentioned, he fell in our ideas because most of us saw those motor problems in him. Yeah. I don't see that in Naz Reid.
I mean, that guy's lack of rebounding and rim protection concern you that much?
Rim protection, no, because I don't see him. I see him as a stretch 4 mostly. Okay. I don't see him as
guarding anywhere close to the rim.
I don't see him as a 5 because especially when you're on a team as Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
that's going to be the plus. I mean, also rebounding, he does have those spurts where he'll get 6 or 7. And I think again with that size, and so far it's early in the season. Yeah, I think he does have that rebounding
and that's
ability.
Where, like, it could change. He could climb up for me, but that's where I have him right now.
Yeah, right now you don't have him anywhere. Yeah, that's one thing. And I think one thing too is if he's in the draft and he's going to be a projected first rounder, even at 26, some people might be, well, are we going to take Jonte Porter who's injured, or are we going to take a guy Naz Reid who we can develop? We don't have to worry about that injury problems. And if we're taking a guy in Jonte Porter because we're a playoff team, well, maybe we take Naz Reid, put him on the bench a little bit, let him grow in the G League, let him grow physically, gain some confidence, and then bring him up a little bit later. I think Naz Reid's an interesting prospect.
But
I think
for a team like the Jazz, like, you have Hachimura on the board still, and you're going away from offense. You're going away from a team that's struggling. They're taking a stab, going out and getting Korver back, because this is a team that has struggled offensively so much. And you're going for a guy who may be a stretch 4, who potentially has the body to fill, that can play at the NBA, but the skill set's not quite there. Meanwhile, Hachimura is someone who has grown every year in college and now has a good offensive skill set. Yes, the 3 ball's coming, and it's getting better this year, which is even more encouraging. So I look at that, and that's why I'm like, I cannot pass up him to the Jazz.
Even if you're looking at a 4, Brandon Clark, too.
Real quick, let me
close in that range.
Let me jump in with this. This Jazz team might not look the same next year because Korver might be gone. Ricky Rubio's a free agent.
Yep.
Derek Favors as well as a contract that might be moved. The only guys that I think are for sure Jazz next year are Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. So you need to fill in that spot. And Hachimura, he might be better now. He might be Grayson Allen. He might be better now, but in 5 years, is Naz Reid going to be better? And is that going to be along the line?
You're gambling on the long distance and not worrying about the fact that this was a playoff team last year.
This is the NBA draft.
Okay.
Right? A lot of it's based on potential. Lot of it's based on potential. And I'm talking about what's going to be happening in June. Yeah. Not right now. Because if we're talking who's a better player right now, it's Hachimura. And he's shown more.
I'm in line with, I think this is a team looking to continually go into the playoffs and like not drop back down to lottery again. And we'll see, the way the West is unrolling this year is insane. So like we'll see how that goes. But I think that he's someone who can come in, contribute, and help them continue their runs to the playoffs in the playoffs.
This is a team, though, that doesn't like to trade a lot. When they do, they try to get meaningful pieces. Like they have like one trade a year, and they're not a team that's like a hot spot free agent spot.
No.
So you need to hit in the draft, and getting a guy like Hachimura might help for the next, like 2 years. But then Naz Reid, is he going to have that longevity to keep him around. So that's the one thing that I think you have to balance with a small market team.
Yeah.
And I think Naz Reid is a guy that, again, screams a ton of potential. I think when we're talking in June, he's a top 20 pick. So, and I think I like him better than a guy like Keldon Johnson. Like, Keldon isn't screaming a guy like if you can dominate the college game, that's fine, but I don't see it transferring over too much. It's like LeGerald Vick at Kansas right now. Even though he was dominating a freshman, there's a reason why he wasn't an NBA prospect.
Right.
Like, I think that Keldon's a little bit more of an NBA prospect. I have him in the top 20, but I don't think he's that guy that is going to be coming out right away. And I don't think he's a guy that's NBA ready in any way. He's going to need a lot of work, at least coming off the bench. It's kind of similar to like a Trayvon Duval last year. Like, yeah, he had nice numbers in college, but there's a reason he's not going that high. I think we're going to come off some of these guys. I think Naz Reid's going to rise up a little bit.
Okay.
Other final guy that we want to talk about, or at least I want to talk about, is Jarrett Culver. I have him going 15 to the Magic. You have him going 17, Ricky, to the Celtics, and Dave, you have him at the bottom, also going to the Celtics at 20. My thing that I see in him, we talk about growth in two-year player, kind of similar to his former teammate in Zaire Smith, coming out in the second year and lighting it up. I see, although he's a little bit bigger of a guard, I see combo guard kind of written over him. He's got 4 assists, decent assist-to-turnover ratio. He's got a great shot from the outside, over 40% from 3. Free throw percentage isn't great, but neither was Zaire's. I see a lot of Zaire Smith in him, maybe not defensively, but this is a kid that I think we got to watch out for. And when it comes to the Magic, they need help point guard-wise. But most of my point guards are off the board. And maybe you do take a shot of, can this kid be a combo guard for us? And even then, what if they trade for a guy like Markelle Fultz? He can be a guy that can be a spot-up shooter on the outside of that two-guard spot as well.
I kind of hit the same thing as you a little bit, where I'll bring in the guy that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to bring into this conversation because I had Culver going to the Celtics. 2 things. First off, Scary Terry. He's an RFA this offseason, and I think he's in the territory of the Zach LaVine territory of some team like the Kings might throw him a contract, and the Celtics will not do what the Bulls did. They'll say, goodbye, we're not going to overpay for you, and he'll be gone. Kyrie, he says he's staying, but until that pen hits paper and an extension is signed, I'm assuming he's going to be gone, and that's why I went with Culver, who you said can kind of be that combo guard, but then also getting a guy I really like later on in Trey Jones, who I think can work with Brad Stevens to be a good point guard for this team.
His assist-to-turnover ratio is impeccable.
But not be the... Then you can let, like, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Hayward kind of take this team... Because right now it's Kyrie's the face of this team.
Yep.
Those guys can become the face. You're drafting that point guard who can fit in with your coach, and he's not going to take away any of the spotlight from the guys you already have.
And I'm glad you did bring up Trey Jones, because I have him going to the Celtics as well, just because of that ability to be a professional. I think, again, we brought this up last week. Having his brother, who's already been in the league, being with Coach K, being in such a high spotlight and performing well. Obviously, we mentioned the assist-to-turnover ratio, and some people will be like, well, can he keep that up in college? Well, going to the NBA and being on the Boston Celtics, so they haven't been great offensively. They just put up 133 points against the Bulls. What do you fucking do? But that's a thing where, again, it's going to be easier to make that transition into the NBA. And I think Trey Jones, again, has that professional mindset to make it easier to jump in. But Dave, what do you think about Jarrett Culver? Because I saw him and I was like, I thought you were going to love him.
No, I do like him. I'm not ready to give up on some other guys. I'm not sure that Jarrett Culver will continue playing as well as he is right now. Like, he's a guy who I'm like, it's too good too soon. Like, Zaire was awesome because he could guard like literally like 1 through 5. Like, that man has core strength like crazy. So, and
there's a reason why he jumped up late, because he showed that throughout the season.
Yeah. So I like what I see out of Jarrett Culver. I still have higher potential for a guy like, for me, I had the Magic going in the same vein, but Kevin Porter Jr. was available for me, so that's why I was like, yep, combo guard. There's a guy who ball in his hands, 100% comfortable with that. Culver, I think he's going to be good. I don't know yet, but like, I've got other guys marked ahead of him because of their production. He's a guy who I've got tagged as like, watch for him being a late riser on my board, because I'm just not sold yet. I think that early success, I can't overexplode on it.
And again, I keep talking about what is it going to be like in June.
Yeah.
So obviously right now it's a fair concern to have, but I think, I think that he has that ability to
like
grow
you said,
and
his
jump
step
up boards.
his step up in 1 year is pretty good. So that's why I was like, I'm not getting overhyped, but he's definitely impressive.
And again, like that 3-point shooting percentage is fantastic right now. But again, you look at that free throw percentage, it's not that good. That could definitely come down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, there are means of regression for Jared Culver, 100%, no doubt. I'm not going to question that.
But I mean, we've all got him in the 15 to 20 range, and like he's definitely got that potential. Like if he continues this line of play, like he's going to work his way from the 15 to the 10 range. You know?
Ooh. That's
10 to
interesting.
15 range.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, 10 to 15. Okay.
Yeah. Instead of 15 to 20, it's 10 to 15.
I got you. All right. Now let's just go to talk about a guy you like. So you already mentioned Trey Jones. Anything you want to add on to that?
I think that the Celtics would be the best team for him. I think that's usually I find that one where throughout the entire year I'll try to like fit him to that team. I feel like Trey Jones and the Celtics are going to be that one because of how much of a fit not only for the Celtics he is, but with Brad Stevens, too.
Like me and Kevin Herter to the Golden State Warriors.
Exactly.
Dave.
Celtics need to move picks. I'm going to just say that out loud. They got four fucking picks this year.
Move up, man. Move
up or move out. Like, that's the answer.
I
Because
would move up rather than move out.
Yes, we all would. But
I'm
the
just
point
saying.
is, thank you for stating the obvious. Thank you for stating the obvious, Ricky. Like, this is a team that
I
just
would
has
like
so
a
many
chocolate
picks.
bar than a piece of shit.
Whoa. Bold prediction.
I would like chocolate bar over human feces.
So, no, I do like him. I've got him going to a different team later on in the Pacers, but, like, I just think that the Celtics team, yeah, you have to attack the guard position because that's you're potentially losing multiple guards this year. And while you do love what you've got on the table, if you resign them, everything's changing. And also, if you decide to move the picks, everything changes too. So,
and maybe you see something where, hey, Spurs, maybe you guys are a playoff team. Maybe you don't need that high of a pick. And hey, maybe Rockets. Maybe you guys need some
loving
depth
that Kings
to
pick,
round
though,
it out.
It's 17.
Well, here's my thing. Maybe you try to get one of these guys like the Rockets and Spurs to be like, hey, you guys are a playoff team. We'll take your top pick. You could take two of them, fill out your depth, and then you take that, and maybe Anthony Davis to Boston is real. Because now you're giving him 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah, but you still have to sign Kyrie first. He legally can't, not legally. He can't be signed because of
Why
the current.
do you need to sign Kyrie first?
The Derrick Rose rule. So Kyrie Irving's contract and Anthony Davis's contract, the way it's set up is you can't trade for Anthony Davis until Kyrie signs his next extension. So they must do that before they can get Anthony Davis. So kind of in a rough spot.
I don't know if the extension deadline has passed yet. What if they're like, hey, Kyrie, trying to make a move for your boy Anthony Davis. Sign now. Sign on this dotted line. We'll make a move. We'll get AD here. It'll be Kyrie AD show.
They might have to. I mean, if they try to
Jaylen Brown, bye-bye.
If they had
top
to
10
do
pick,
that,
bye-bye.
they would have
Top 10
to...
pick, bye-bye. Hey, ring-a-ding-ding, New Orleans. Hey, you guys like Seattle? Because you're about to move there.
Yeah,
AD,
would you quit hyping
2 top
that?
10 picks. I heard it on the Bill Simmons podcast, so now I'm just rolling with it. 2 top 10 picks and Jaylen Brown. So pretty much 3 top 10 picks for AD. He's not going to sign. Come on. You being stupid? Come on. Make the trade. Make the trade. Make the trade. Boom.
Oh my
Trade's
God.
made. Kyrie Irving. Al Horford goes too. Fuck it.
GM Sean.
You have Al Horford. No, Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, fucking Morris, and AD. Come on. Insane. Those are my thoughts. Anyways, the prospect that I want to talk about, it was Naz Reid, but we already mentioned him a little bit. I'll throw out Nicky Alexander-Walker. Loved his progression so far. Obviously, he's got the body very similar to his cousin Shea. I think Shea was a little bit better, well-rounded, better defender. Obviously, had a great mid-range shot, and so far that's transferred over even to a three-point shot for him. I think he was a better facilitator. But I think Nicky Alexander-Walker cannot be slept on. I don't know if he's going to have the same rise that Shea did throughout the mock drafts, but I think he is a top 20 talent. For sure, in my mind, he's a top 20 talent. This kid's got the body. He's got the potential. He's got that same frame.
And Shea's success in the NBA means that teams will now respect him more. They will look at his gameplay a whole lot more seriously.
I think he's a little worse of an athlete, but also I think he is still 6'6", athletic, smart.
At the guard position.
At the guard position.
With his wingspan?
I think the kid's
it's an attractive
dangerous.
prospect.
Absolutely dangerous. And then when you look at the Pistons, I love that because you technically don't need him to be a guard because Blake Griffin so far has been a great point guard. And even then, Nicky Alexander-Walker, he can be a guy that fits in and doesn't need the ball in his hands to even be successful because he's even got a shot. So